Now, when are they going to look at Pomerantz and what Pomerantz did? Because that's bad stuff. And when are they going to look at all the lies that Cohen did in the last trial? He got caught lying in the last trial. So he got caught lying, pure lying. And when are they going to look at that?
That right there is what it looks like when Donald Trump yet again violates his gag order by disparaging Michael Cohen, who is a witness in this case. Remember, the gag order states that Trump is prohibited from, quote, making or directing others to make public statements about known or reasonably foreseeable witnesses concerning their potential participation in the investigation or in this criminal proceeding. Clearly, Michael Cohen will be a witness in this trial, and clearly, Trump's statement was public. Now, yes, the attacks against him are intended to intimidate Michael Cohen, and no one is more intimately familiar with Trump's intimidation tactics than Cohen himself, who worked for Donald Trump as his own personal lawyer and fixer for years, but they're also intended to intimidate other witnesses and members of the jury. They're intended to show those people what awaits them if they end up on the wrong side of Trump. And so when the inevitable army of Trump minions descends on Michael Cohen, from Fox News all the way down to his little foot soldiers on social media, that is also intended to serve as a warning shot to the next Michael Cohen, whoever that may be. Now, it's also worth noting that this isn't anywhere close to Trump's first violation of his gag order. This is his 8th. Just last week, Trump took to Truth Social writing, "Has Mark Pomerantz been prosecuted for his terrible acts in and out of the DA's office? Has disgraced attorney and felon Michael Cohen been prosecuted for lying? Only Trump people get prosecuted by this judge and these thugs. A dark day for our country." To which Cohen replied, "When does enough become enough and the petulant man-child gets a timeout in lockup for his bad behavior?" And frankly, Cohen's right. We've already long passed the point where Trump's behavior should have resulted in lockup. Add that to the fact that not only is Trump intimidating witnesses, he's also intimidating members of the jury during this trial. Trump has taken to Truth Social, writing, "They are catching undercover liberal activists lying to the judge in order to get onto the Trump jury." Of course, Trump's mouthpieces already understood the assignment because this is what his mouthpieces spewed on Fox News.
A nurse from the Upper East Side with a master's degree. She's not married, has no kids, and lives with her fiancé, who works in finance. She gets her news from the New York Times, Google, and CNN. She said 2 things that really stuck out. One, quote, "I don't really have an opinion of Trump," and, quote, "No one is above the law." I'm not so sure about juror number 2.
And lo and behold, the following day, one juror, juror number 2, an oncology nurse, would ultimately drop out for fear of being identified. All because Jesse Waters and Trump didn't like that she said no one is above the law, which obviously cuts against these guys' feelings about Trump, which is that he absolutely is above the law. I mean, think about that for a second. The right has become so radicalized, so extreme, that something so banal as saying no one is above the law is now a threat to the autocratic rule of Donald Trump and his minions that they want for this country. But sure, party of law and order. Got it. I'd also argue that the damage is already done. Frankly, think about the practical effect of this whole campaign by Jesse Waters and Donald Trump. Because now, Jesse Waters' audience, and of course Trump's audience, are going to believe that anyone who's on the jury is nothing more than a liberal activist who was able to fool prosecutors into getting themselves seated. Which means they become targets for Trump supporters' vitriol. The same vitriol that ruined the lives of Georgia election workers Shay Moss and Ruby Freeman. The same vitriol that caused thousands of Trump supporters to storm the Capitol on January 6th looking to assassinate elected officials. The dangers posed by these people isn't theoretical, it is real. And it has ruined the lives of countless people, and these jurors and these witnesses are not blind to the reality of that danger. So when Trump takes to Truth Social and posts that the jury is a bunch of low-key liberal activists, he knows what he's doing, and those jury members know what the practical effect of what he's doing is. That's the insidiousness of Trump's jury intimidation, and the reason that this show cause hearing should have happened last week to protect the integrity of this trial. To that point, we'll get an answer on that issue tomorrow, when Trump's first show cause hearing will take place. And if you're anything like me, you're wondering why the show cause hearing wasn't simply moved up after Trump's first violation of this gag order so that this issue could be taken care of before he committed 7 more violations. I asked my Legal Breakdown co-host Glenn Kirshner that exact question a few days back after he'd committed only his 7th gag order violation, and here's what he had to say.
Glenn, I have a feeling that Donald Trump views everything that's happening before this show cause hearing on Tuesday as strike 2. So it's just, he keeps committing these violations. It's strike 2, strike 2, strike 2, strike 2, knowing that until he gets that final warning from Judge Merchan basically saying that this is it, that was strike 1, that was strike 2, next time you do it, you're going to jail for 30 days. Why wouldn't Judge Merchan just move up that show cause hearing basically from Tuesday up to today so that he doesn't get this long runway to commit these violations, on an exponential basis until the hearing actually happens?
Great question, and I really do think it's because of the New York state law. There are two kinds of contempt. There is contempt that happens in the presence of the court. The judge sees it. Donald Trump says or does something that violates a court order, and then it's like in the movies. The judge bangs the gavel and can summarily hold the defendant in contempt right then and there and can issue a sanction up to and including 30 days in jail. However, if the contempt does not occur in the presence of the judge, in the courtroom, then the New York law provides you have to be given notice that there will be a hearing on the contempt charge, and you have to be given an opportunity to defend yourself. That is why I believe Judge Merchan set it off for about a week from when the first request came in from the prosecutors. Now, of course, Donald Trump is just racking up additional contempt charges. As I say, we're up to 7 right now, but I think that's why Judge Merchan is sticking with that Tuesday contempt hearing date, because under the laws of New York, the defendant is entitled to notice and an opportunity to defend.
And when you say notice, does that mean that he needs a certain amount of time to be able to prepare? Because otherwise I would ask, how does the judge not see the danger in allowing Donald Trump the full weekend to keep racking up these violations, knowing that it's all going to be chalked up to, just a $1,000 fine each time before he's given an actual warning about jail time, which would actually prevent him from doing any of this?
Yeah, great question. The New York state law uses the word notice. It does not set a time frame or a deadline. So I think Judge Merchan assessed that giving him about, 6 days, which was from the time the prosecutors first moved to have Donald Trump held in contempt, was appropriate notice. But he could very well have said, listen, we're going to carve out some time on Friday and we're going to take this up because you can't be trusted not to continue to violate my gag order over the weekend, or not to continue to say and do things that are intimidating jurors, which Judge Merchan ordered Donald Trump in open court not to intimidate jurors. Because Donald Trump said or did something, it wasn't precisely reported what he said or did, but he did something that was directed at the jurors, and instantly Judge Merchan said, I will not have juror intimidation in my courtroom. So Judge Merchan perceived it as juror intimidation and put Donald Trump on notice that he wouldn't stand for it. So if there is additional juror intimidation, those will probably constitute additional contempt charges.
Additional contempt charges, but are we likely, or is it still possible that we could see this show cause hearing moved up if Donald Trump does something that's so egregious that Judge Merchan recognizes, okay, if I give this guy another day, hour, minute, without the show cause hearing actually happening, then, he can just cause too much damage?
Possible. I would say not likely, but possible, depending on the nature of the intimidation, the harassment, the threats, because, if we have jurors that are sort of concretely put in harm's way and the judge gets wind of it, he could absolutely just move the contempt hearing up and saying, listen, you can't be trusted. We have to do this right now.
So at this point, all eyes will be on Judge Merchan tomorrow. Will he throw Trump in jail for 30 days per violation right off the bat? Probably not. But it is likely that he'll tell Trump that any further violations will result in lockup. And given Trump's inability to control his impulses, that may be a much more real possibility than any of us are even anticipating. Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to the channel and do your part to help grow the progressive media ecosystem. I don't do sponsorships or paid ads, I won't ask for money, but just subscribing to this channel goes a really long way, and it helps get the message out to more people. The subscribe button is right here on the screen. You can also subscribe to my Spanish language channel, which I made to reach those crucial Spanish-speaking voters. That link is on the screen too. And finally, if you want to listen to my audio podcast, you can follow that link as well. Thanks so much for watching.